Welcome back to CP Stated, the podcast where we explore the people, ideas, and innovations powering progress for individuals with disabilities in New York State and beyond. We are happy to have you joining us for part 2 of our interview with Kathy O'Connell. Brianne and Laura Beth will continue to explore the confidence gap in dating, disclosure and dating visibility, debunking sexual ableism, and media myths, as well as empowering self-advocacy in individuals. The team will also touch on ways to connect with Kathy at Radiant Abilities.
Are you talking, Brianne, about sexual ableism in particular, or?
I guess kind of wherever the path leads us. My direct was, talking about sexual ableism and kind of what it's looking like in our modern dating culture. Specifically, you're assisting a lot of individuals to, start this or helping partway through.
Okay. So where I specialize, and that's because of my background as a mental health and counselor, it's more the social emotional component of sexual ableism. And what I mean by sexual ableism is a social discrimination that says people with disabilities are inferior in dating, sex, and intimate relationships simply because of their disability. Now, most people would say, oh no, I don't believe that. But there's a lot still in our culture that does promote that. Like when you go onto a dating app or when you see an ad for a dating app, you typically never see a person with a disability. And as someone with a disability myself, I know the lived experience of not seeing myself in advertisements or in movies and thinking that I'm getting the message, oh, that's not something that I belong in. And when I work with people, a lot of times that's a big barrier to their dating confidence, is just a lifetime of living with messages that say, oh, dating, attractiveness, someone falling in love with you, that's not something you will experience. And that's a lot of the coaching program I have for people. It's to help them rewrite those negative messages they have gotten from the often unspoken sexual ableism that we all can feel.
No, and that's great. And that's really, helping empower them to be their self-advocate will really help guide as that's going along. Which I think really, leads us to our next. I'm trying, keep us on track here and guide us to our next section we're talking about. And I know Laura Beth has some great questions, to keep our conversation going. If you want to take that away, Laura Beth.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Brianne. Kathy, one of the things Brianne and I really are interested in is, as support team members, how do we start to open up those conversations? How do we start to have those conversations not only with the people we support, but also with our staff members?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question, and so happy you brought that up, Laura, because that's the whole other side of what I do. Is I work with staff and professionals at not only training them and teaching them how to address that with the people they serve, but just in getting them comfortable with addressing dating with the people they work with. And a lot of times some people will clump me together with sexuality education, which I'm happy to do if needed, but part of what I do is to educate. Well, dating is a whole nother topic that is separate from sexuality, and much like we have to get that comfortable with addressing sexuality, we also need to get them comfortable with addressing dating and not saying, oh, well, good luck with that, Joey, but really getting in there with Joey and feeling vulnerable, asking uncomfortable conversations, trying to figure out what Joey needs in terms of skills to begin to be successful in this area.
Absolutely, because I do not feel we do a good job of educating people in that area. Along the same lines, Kathy, as a parent, I'm navigating, though I have a 16-year-old at home. So the world of giving him the oyster and kind of letting him have dignity of risk is scary. It's a very scary concept. And we find that in the field of human services, we want to protect. And that is natural. And we find it with families. And what tips do you have for us as service providers to, again, start opening those dialogues for people who are interested in starting the process of dating or becoming more knowledgeable about dating? How do we support, as service providers, the families who might not be comfortable with that topic? And, again, celebrating and supporting that the dignity of risk and maybe failures and maybe successes, but giving people that opportunity.
Well, as a parent myself, I have a great deal of empathy for parents and can really understand how scary that can be for people. However, also it's a parent. I know that for most of us as parents, what we ultimately want for our children, and sound dismal for a minute, but eventually we're all gonna leave our children. And we want to know that they're safe, loved, and happy when we are no longer able to care for them. And I think oftentimes that gets overlooked at how addressing dating and relationships can ultimately improve quality of life and maybe even offer additional natural supports. And when we can get people to not get over their fear, but get beyond their fear, to see the benefit of teaching their loved ones skills that can help them find possibly a life companion and what that would mean to their loved one.
I love that idea, Kathy, that you said is, and I think that's such an important thing to know, that the fear is going to be there. I'm a fearful lady because my child is learning how to drive. So it's scary, but it's also a rite of passage. And it should be, if you want this, it should be at your fingertips. So I love your concept of working through the fear and working through it versus holding on to that and letting it stifle us as families or service providers. And let's work through it together.
Right, right. And you know that image of having your child learn to drive. And so with you, Laura, but my son is 13, and I'm already like, oh my gosh, how am I going to put him behind the wheel? And the worry that comes up about what could happen. However, that's such a good analogy because, yes, a lot of that can go wrong. And most of us have our lives significantly enhanced by the ability to drive.
Absolutely.
Laura Beth, if you need some milk, you can send your son to go get it. You don't have to go get it.
No, I know. Exactly. It's opening up a world for me too.
That's great. That's great. And I know we're closing down on our time with you, Kathy, but I'd love to go back to one more thing you said because I know it's something we're within the agency I work on is really pushing for. And you said one day, the parents aren't going to be there to continue to worry and to look over and to really make sure that they have those connections, whether it's a connection of a long-term partner or the connection of, the local grocery store clerk or the local grocery store manager where, every time they walk in, they say hi to the individual because, one day I may not be here, working with individuals every day, but that's a local store. It's going to be here every day. The fire department in the town over, the people are going to be there. And it's to really make those connections that, it's not necessarily need to stay in that little hub. The world is so big and there's so much to explore. And we've been really pushing for that a lot lately. And it's been great to see the growth that comes with it. So I know we're tying down. So I really just want to thank you, Kathy, for jumping on, planning this session with us, talking us over. Laura Beth and I know have learned a lot in this area. I was so excited when I learned that we were, tasked with this specifically because I missed the time you had come to our agency and done everything with our leadership. And this is newly something that, in my role, I'm doing more in with the people that I support. So excited to learn everything. And I'm excited for, if she wants to listen to this podcast and learn what she can from it.
Yeah, before I go, I would just like to mention that I do have a online community called Dating Made Easier, and it's something for all people with and without disabilities, where they can come and learn dating skills, get support, get resources to help them because as I said earlier, dating is very hard and everyone needs support to go through the process of putting yourself out there and meeting people and hopefully eventually making meaningful connections.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Kathy. And once you pop
Thank
off, I promise you we're going to keep talking, not specifically about you, but all your good work. And I'm definitely going to do some more takeaways with all the different resources that you have available on your website.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure, Brianne and Laura Beth, to talk to you and your audience. And I would like to leave the audience with a little gift that you can put in the show notes. It's affirmations for gaining with confidence when you have a disability. And it's a very powerful statement that can help build that confidence that we talked about.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure, and you bringing all your knowledge to us is actually going to help us to be better at our roles. So thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. All right. I know we're still recording, Laura Beth, but we can take a moment to debrief before we pop on to our next section. For Tim and Bill, we did prep for this because I had a feeling we were going to run out of time before we could finish off.
Yeah, Brianne made a good call. And she's like, okay, if this happens, skip this. So we were ready. We were ready with it. So we're seasoned now.
Plan for the worst, hope for the best. All right, awesome. I'm just going to talk a bit about some radiant abilities. I'll get back into my podcast voice in just a moment. All right. It's worse when you make a point of saying you're gonna do it. My face just goes out red. It feels like let me take my face off of the screen. uh, well, Kathy, really talked to us about a bunch of different resources she has with Radiant Abilities. She has the coaching, she has the courses, she has the podcast. If you go to radiantabilities.com, the first thing that pops up is get game-changing dating tips delivered to your inbox. Click here. So she is ready. It's very straightforward, and I love that, especially, if someone's going to this, it might just be a quick Google, dating with a disability or dating advice, and it's really great that this is something that could be popping up to someone that may not even be searching for it. But on her website, you can find about Radiant Abilities. You can hear more about Kathy. She has different topics on dating resources. There's a monthly dating workshop. And even breaking down on her website, there's section for the individuals, for professionals and families, empowering relationship curriculum, and even more support for the professionals, empowering relationship curriculum. And then she also has a book linked called Firewalk, written by Kathy O'Connell to check out. And I just want to speak a little to Firewalk and what it is. So, Firewalk, embracing different abilities, presents perspective and an action plan for anyone who lives their life with a disability. Author Kathy O'Connell draws from her own experience of living with cerebral palsy and working with others as a counselor in this powerful yet empowering book about living life to the fullest with a disability. Readers are offered an approach to moving through feelings of fear and victimization, which leads to embracing and appreciating their different abilities. As a result, people experience greater love, happiness, and fulfillment. Kathy uses the metaphor of a firewalk to represent the fear we feel when faced with difficult circumstances that could further hurt us, and the doubt within about our own ability to be successful. Kathy uses the Yeah, we'll cut it off there. Bill can edit that out. But it's really great. And she has so many different takeaways and resources. So feel free to check out radiantabilities.com.
And I love on Radiant Abilities, one of her taglines is, "We aren't matchmakers, we're confidence builders," which is really what Kathy spoke to us about. So it's great. It's a great tagline.
Awesome. So thanks for listening today, everybody. This is Brianne Fluelling signing out.
Laura Beth Malkowski. See you later.
Thank you for tuning in to part 2 of our conversation with Kathy O'Connell. Don't forget to catch all the CP Stated and CP Short Stated episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. New and exciting topics will be shared in both audio and video formats as we continue to explore the disability service field.